Hello, and welcome to our Citrix Converge 2021 presentation on collecting UAT feedback from Microapps pilot. My name is Greg Hayes, and I'm a Senior Pre-Sales Engineering Specialist at Citrix. And my co-presenter is Somesh Naidu, a Principal Escalation Engineer, also with Citrix. A quick recap of our agenda for this presentation. We'll include the importance of collecting feedback during UAT, an overview of value engineering, different methods of collecting feedback, and a demo of one way you might use a microapp to collect feedback about microapps. Like any software application release, even microapps can and should go through a typical development lifecycle. Requirements are collected, the integration is created, notifications and pages are added, and microapps are published to the end user. In a perfect world, we as developers would get everything right every time, and the end users would never question our results. But we're not there yet. So we don't know if our microapps are truly great unless we can get feedback from the actual people using them. And ideally, we'll collect that feedback during the user acceptance testing phase of the development lifecycle, so that the product that is released to the broader audience will meet their expectations. Getting ready for user acceptance testing has its own process and shouldn't be taken lightly. Setting expectations and communicating that procedure to your audience will set you up for success. To better explain how value engineering can help your team establish that methodology, I'll pass the mic to Somesh.
Thank you, Greg. I'll jump right into it. Value engineering, in a nutshell, is to use a hypothesis-driven approach to measure value-based outcomes as a basis for making decisions on investments and pivots. Let me highlight some key aspects. Outcomes are represented as business value, that is, the problem we are looking to solve. This is how our customers evaluate how they would pay for our solution. The idea is to create a system that ensures greatest learnings with minimal effort in a reasonably short amount of time. We identify the metric best suited to measure the given outcome and establish a robust mechanism for those measurements to ensure useful and accurate results. Without good data, this does not work. As you can imagine, such a scientific approach yields many benefits, positively impacting our motions of growth and scale. Using real data as opposed to arbitrary projections as a basis inspires confidence as well as avoids investments on unproven or failed ideas. As a side benefit from having greatly improved due diligence, we are in a position to deliver more accurate forecasts. Next, how do we go about it within the context of microapp implementation? We answer these three questions as accurately as possible. Who is it for? The target user. What problem are we trying to solve? The use case. Why are we doing this? The business value we intend to deliver. In this example, our target users are 200 IT managers. The use case is requisition approval workflow in ServiceNow with action density of 25 actions per user per year, and the objective to save 10 minutes per action. The business value we are looking to deliver is improved productivity. And the metric we decided to track is active use. Drawing focus on the Y section of the slide, we see value toll gates at each phase of the launch cycle, where success or failure is established. If the results are not favorable, we have the opportunity to iterate. That is, tweak the implementation based on our learnings and try again. As mentioned in the previous slide, without good data, this does not work. This leads to the next item on the agenda, collecting feedback. I'll hand it back to Greg to elaborate on the topic. Thank you.
Many great tools exist for collecting user feedback. Your company may already have an existing process for large-scale projects. A quick search reveals some purpose-built tools like userback.io, usersnap.com, and Pendo. You can also create custom forms and workflows using readily available platforms in Google, Podio, SharePoint, or Airtable. Or you could keep it really simple, but time-consuming, by having users submit feedback via traditional methods like email, collaboration tools like Slack or Teams, or the time-honored spreadsheet in Google Sheets or Excel. Of course, if you have made progress in your microapp building journey, there's always the option of using many of these previously mentioned tools as the data source for an integration and suite of microapps. But sometimes you might want something a little less complicated. To that end, we've created a UAT feedback integration that can be imported to your environment and be ready to use with a few quick configuration changes. The integration is completely self-contained and requires no third-party application for data storage. As well, it saves the end user from having to navigate to another application to submit their feedback. Let's take a look at how it works. All right, so let's start with some setup and configuration. Our first step will be to import the map file. Files. And then we click import. All right, once the integration has been imported, we'll click on edit and configuration. And here we'll quickly update the base URL to the URL from our current server. And we can edit the icon, one that I've uploaded previously. And once that's done, we can click save. All right. And we can take a quick look at what the script looks like. Click on scripting and expand. So we're loading some additional libraries, and we have 3 functions. We have a submit feedback, an update feedback, and a delete feedback. These are basically accepting some parameters. We have some logging, and then we're saving that data directly to the data store, right? So there's no external URL calls. We're not talking to another third-party service. Everything's being saved directly into the Microapp database. And then in our integrations definition, we define our UAT feedback table. An important element here is this data retention forever. So it means that even when we synchronize or run a synchronized data synchronization, our data won't be deleted. And we define our 3 actions again. So submit feedback maps to our submit feedback function, and the same with update feedback and delete feedback. And we can see our 3 service actions listed here. So our next step is we'll do some map customization. So we know that, for example, we're going to have a couple of custom microapps that we've built. So let's go to submit UAT feedback. And then we have to update our feedback for microapp list. So we'll click on the select component. And then we can call this one, for example, SAP Ariba. And maybe we'll call this one Citrix Blogs. Okay. And if you have more microapps, you can certainly add those here. Just sort of taking a look at the other elements. Right, so we have notification for feedback response. So as an end user, I want to know when I've received feedback for my item that I submitted. Right, so this will be a response to your feedback for which app. And this will take me to the feedback detail page, which you can see here. And then this just allows me to see, what app I submitted feedback for, the status, my initial comment, and the feedback from the UAT managers. Separately, we have a view UAT feedback microapp. And the first one we can see is a feedback submitted notification. So whenever there's a new record in the UAT feedback table, a notification will go to all the users of this or view UAT feedback microapp. And they will also see a feedback detail page. Navigate here. And here we can see, the detail about which microapp we're getting feedback for, the date it was submitted, who was submitted by, which will be the email address, the feedback that was submitted, and then we can manage a basic workflow of selecting a status. The default will be draft. We can set the issued in progress or complete. Whenever it goes to complete is when the notification will be sent back to the submitter. Then we have our two buttons, one for update feedback. So we can see that that's wired to our update feedback action. And then edit parameters. We have to pass back all the details just because of how the data store function currently works in the scripting. But you need to pass, basically resave everything. You'll use the primary key and update all the existing data. And then we optionally have an option to delete feedback in case something was submitted by a mistake. And again, that's wired to our delete feedback, and all you have to pass in is the ID. And then we have this confirm delete checkbox just to make sure that you can't delete something by mistake. So you check the checkbox, the delete feedback button will become active or enabled. So with those, basically the one basic configuration item in the which microapps you want to collect feedback for. The next step is to simply add some subscribers. I'll add myself as the submit UAT feedback user. And add Homer as the feedback manager. And just to make sure we're all clear on our messages, we'll run a synchronization. Right. This is just to make sure that a synchronization is not run message doesn't appear in our microapps. All right, so my first review task or UAT feedback task is to look over Citrix blogs. So I have some blog content in my feed. I'm going to click on one of the first item. And reading through here, I notice that there's no blog title in the detail blade. So we're going to post that as some feedback to our system. So I'm going to go click submit UAT feedback. I'll choose Citrix blogs, and my feedback will be, I don't see blog title in the detail. Okay, and so we'll submit that feedback. That's taken care of. And now we'll head over to the Homer Carpenter's view, and he should be able to see the feedback card. All right, so Homer's logged into Workspace, and now Homer sees the view UAT feedback And our first one is feedback submitted for Citrix Logs. So we can click on that. All right, we can see when the feedback was submitted. You can see it was submitted by GH, and I don't see the log title in the detail blade. So we can set this one to in progress. Might say something like, it is being updated. And in this case, let's say it's complete, the work will be done. And the next time Greg logs in, he should see the update. All right, so now we've returned to Greg's view, and you can see the feed card that was generated. You can see my initial feedback and then the work notes from the manager. And then to sort of finish off the view for the manager, we have a view UAT feedback action microapp. And by clicking on this, you can see a table view of all the existing feedback, which will let you go and view the details. And if you add additional notes or change the status if necessary. There are a few additional features we could potentially add to the tool, such as cross-integration support to open tickets and a bug tracking tool such as Jira, the ability to dynamically load the list of microapps currently in UAT, the ability to assign UAT tasks that will show up as cards in the feed, and to include UAT instructions in a microapp within the integration. Thank you for your time, and we hope you found this information helpful. If you would like more information on value engineering, please see the session, How to Communicate with Value. And for how we use microapps at Citrix internally, please check out Microapp Implementation at Citrix. Thanks again.